HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is a coding language that creates the structure and layout of a web page. About 95% of all websites online use this language to produce themselves. Keep in mind, HTML is not a programming language. It is a markup language. What do I mean by this? Well, to define some terms quickly, coding is simply typing instructions for computers to follow. Both markup languages and programming languages would be considered coding languages because you are in fact giving the computer instructions in both. However, the difference lies in how these instructions are written. When coding in HTML, you are never asking the computer to give you new information that you never put into it. For example, in a programming language like JavaScript, you would be able to ask the computer, "Hey Mr. Computer, can you add 5 and 2 together please, and tell me what the answer is?" With the programming language, the computer would be producing new information you didn't code, namely the number 7, which is something markup languages do not do. Think of a markup language as telling the computer, "Hey Mr. Computer, show me the number 7. Coding in HTML, put simply, is just giving the computer a list of data to show on your web page in the order that you want. These types of data are called elements within HTML. Also note that there is no way to code stuff like the coloring or position of an element in HTML. HTML is strictly the structure and layout of a page, not how the page necessarily looks. That is reserved for CSS, a video topic for another day. Some examples of these elements I speak of are things like text, images, audio, videos, etc. They are just different types of digital information within HTML. Now, to actually start coding in HTML and create a basic website, you're going to need an integrated development environment, IDE, or in other words, a special text editor that is able to recognize coding languages and make the typing process easier for you. These are also referred to as code editors. The one I use is called Visual Studio Code. However, if you don't want to install an IDE from online, you can always go to a website like CodePen.io, where you can code on that website and see your results entirely for free, without having to mess with your computer files. Assuming you did install an IDE to your machine, you would now need to create a new file named index.html, which is the file where you would write your HTML code. Then open up that file in your IDE of choice and begin typing it in there. You actually don't even need to name the file index. However, if you want your website to go live onto the internet, your main HTML file would have to be named index for hosting related reasons, but you do need to make sure there is a .html at the end of the file name, since that tells your IDE and your computer that the contents of that file is HTML code. Once you're able to type directly into the HTML file from within the code editor, you are set up and ready to rock. So from here, whatever you type in your HTML file will be later run by your personal web browser to display your web page on itself. For starters, you're going to type $, exclamation mark, doctype, space, HTML, greater than sign, which tells the browser that this file is an HTML file. All HTML files require this. Then typing more downwards, you can write $, HTML, greater than sign, less than sign, / HTML, greater than sign. There are a few things to unpack here. The greater than and the less than symbols with text inside are called tags. This is how you tell the browser what element you want it to process and potentially display. With this comes many different tags that the computer inherently recognizes, like paragraph tags, image tags, video tags, link tags, etc. There are forms of data that the computer recognizes. Notice how there are 2 tags for most of these different elements. That is because one is an opening tag and the other is a closing tag, which is signified by a / in the second tag as seen. The actual content for these 2 tags is put in between them. Take note that all of these little nuances, like how the tags are spelled or if they have a / or not, are very important. If you make a mistake and don't type the information how the computer expects to see them, the code won't work. Also take note that not every element has a closing tag, like the image tag for example. This is because the various information required for an image tag to function, one being namely an image link, isn't extensive enough to warrant a closing tag. It will all make more sense as you use the language, but for now, just understand that there are some data tags that are 2 and some just 1. So why don't we just write a paragraph tag to display text on our website? why do we need an HTML tag first? Well, with the way HTML is designed, it requires all tags like the image or video tag to be within the HTML tag itself. The HTML tag isn't necessarily something you can see on the web page by default, but it is still a type of data that the computer processes for displaying a page properly. HTML just has a certain strict structure to it to maintain its organization and functionality. The code mandatory for it, and just code mandatory for any coding language in general, depending on the project, is called boilerplate code. From here, space out the two HTML tags and write the head tag within it as follows. This is a required tag for storing metadata for a website. You can then write the title tag within the head tag and then write the title's text in between the respective opening and closing tags to give a title to your website. When you run your HTML file in your IDE or open the file in your computer, you will be able to see the title you gave it on the browser tab your website file is opened in. Make sure your computer uses a browser to open the file. From here, you can create another tag inside the HTML tag, but outside the head tag, called the body tag. Keep in mind the only two tags that can exist inside the HTML tags are the head and body tag. Any other tag has to be within those two to adhere to the language's inherent structure. Otherwise, the code won't be able to work properly. Now this is where the real magic happens. Everything else you'd want in your website like text, images, links, etc. will all be in here, the body tag. This is what is known as the user interface, or UI. It is what the user of the website sees and how they interact with the site. Oh, and make sure you always save your file in your respected code editor. You wouldn't want your hard work to go down the drain. Now let's begin by adding a H1 tag. This means header 1. There are 6 of these in total, from H1 all the way up to H6. H1 being the biggest size header text, while H6 is the smallest. Inside, you can write something like, "This is my first website." You can type whatever you wish. Then when you run the HTML file, you will see real text on your browser. Congratulations, you have made your first website. It may not look like much, but it technically is a website. I'll show you how to add a few more things to your page and then we'll end off the video. From here, let's add a paragraph tag with some text. This tag is ideal for writing descriptions on your page that don't need the biggest font in the world. This tag is just written as a P with the less than and greater and / symbols respectively. Insert whatever text you wish, save and run. Doesn't look too shabby. Alright, now let's add a link. This is going to be an anchor tag which is written as an A. From here, what you are actually going to do is give the tag an attribute. Basically, it is metadata for the tag itself. You write attributes inside the opening tag, and here you'd write href equals, and then 2 sets of double quotations, with the link inside the quotes. Then within the opening and closing A tags, you can write the text you want the link to have. Just by putting the link to my channel into the href, you can see that the anchor tag takes me to my channel. Pretty awesome, huh? The last tag I'm going to be showing you is the image tag. This is one of the special tags that only has an opening tag. This is because all we need to add to this tag is one attribute for it to work. Type in src equals and then 2 sets of double quotations, and inside the quotations you will add a link to the image you want to use. You can copy an image link from online or copy an image file path from your computer. The most straightforward method in my opinion is just taking a downloaded image and storing it in the same folder as your HTML file. From here you can reference that folder with /, then write the image file name right after, or if it is in another folder, the folder name and then the image name. It is also good practice to add the alt attribute. It is just text that displays if the image doesn't load, and it helps screen readers and bots know what the image is. And that's all for today. Congratulations on making your first website, and I hope this video helped you in understanding the basics of HTML. Make sure to like the video and subscribe for more coding content, and I hope you have a blessed day.